Hey, it's Dr. Linda Davis, and today I want to walk you through a business analysis report using some Excel formula tools that I think you should know. And our company today is Panther Plastics. This is a monthly sales results for last month, and you can update the date from what it is in D2L. And we have an Excel sheet here, and you have to type obviously quite a bit of this. You have to format it. I'm starting in cell B3 for Panther Plastics, and obviously that font size, I've got Calibri 18-point bold for that company name. Monthly sales results can be Calibri 12-point is fine, not bold, and same thing for the date. Now we have a column heading of salesperson here that has text underneath it, so that text, so that's column heading should hug the left side of the cell since it has text underneath. On the other side, we have sales, and sales has obviously currency values underneath, and sales needs to hug the right side of the cell because it needs to sit on top of what's underneath it, which it does now. And you have to align that one to the right to make that happen. So at this point, I just want you to type all this information in once you get your table set up. And I'm going to have you just pause my video at this point so that you can see all the information on the screen, and you can have that, you can either print it out from D2L or you can type it just looking at the two, keep two screens going. And then when you get it all done, as far as typing all the way down to the last salesperson, and then you get the analysis data typed in, then I'm going to take you through the different formulas. Okay, so there's no need for you to watch me type. So you just type what you see here. And when you're ready, join me as we go. We'll go down here to number of salespeople. So put it on pause now, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so at this point, you should have all the information typed in. And we're going to go through the statistical parts of this using Excel formulas that are very easy to use, very easy to understand. Excel does the work, you just got to know what to type in. So number of salespeople, if we just want to count. Now remember, we use very small data sets, with our work, and just realize in the real world, in the real business situation, you may have hundreds of people's names in here with hundreds of sales amounts. So just keep that in mind, but it all works the same way, no matter how big the file is. All right, so number of salespeople, we want to use a special function called the Countif function that Excel does, where it just counts actually text. So count A means it's going to count text items. So obviously we only have one particular column that has text in it, so that's going to be equals, and then because equals always starts with or I should say formulas always start with the equal sign. So equals count A for our formula name, and then you want to open parentheses there because you're going to put the range in of what you want it to count, basically. So our salespeople, they're in column B. So starting with Tina at the top, she's in B7, and I want that range to go all the way down to the last salesperson, which is Chad. He's in cell B23. So I've got equals count A, open parenthesis, B7 colon B23. And Excel's going to look over that range and determine how many different names it sees there. So as soon as I hit enter, it's going to calculate that, and it's going to say there are 17 names, which means there's 17 salespeople that it's looking at. All right, so that takes care of number of salespeople. The next formula we need to work on is going to address the number of sales reports submitted. Not everybody submitted. So in that case, we want to use the count function. Now notice the little hints I have over to the side that go with each row, okay? So with this one, we want to do equals count And we want to do just counting basically. We're not adding or anything, it's just looking at each cell to see how many we have there. So that range is a little different. It's going to be in column C, starting with Tina's sales, which would be C7. So let me type that in. Colon to the last person is Chad. His sales are found in cell C23. And you notice it kind of highlights that in Excel for you. End of parentheses. Okay, and you're utilizing just this time as the count function. So I'll hit enter. So not everybody submitted, so it tells me right there I've got 16 submissions, even though I've got 17 salespeople. So obviously, somebody didn't produce a report. Now, average sales. This is going to obviously use the average function. So let's do that. So it's again equals. You're going to spell out average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E, open parentheses, and you want it to take an average of all those sales. So the range you're going to use for this is obviously the sales range. That's again C7 to C22. So let me type that range in, C7 to C22. And once I get that done, I can just hit enter, and it will calculate the average sales for September. Now I'll go down to median. Now, of course, average is adding up all those values and dividing it by 17. Okay, and the next one's going to do median. Median is a little bit different. It throws out the highest number and the lowest number and just kind of focuses on what's, the median of this. Sometimes I use this when I'm having my students score their own classmates on a project presentation, where I throw out the very highest score and I throw out the very lowest score, just based on the fact that there may be personality differences between the groups, so hopefully it will remove any bias. And that's just one instance of using a median. Now a median is just equals median, and then again put that same range in of C7, all the sales amounts, colon to C22. Oops, I should say C23. I don't think I went far enough down, did I? Okay. Now, let me launch that one. And that's a little bit different than the average sales. Let me look at the average sales. So I think I might have put C22 in there. I should have put C23 for Chad. Yeah, I left Chad out. So let me go back up here, and it gives us an opportunity to show you in the formula bar up here at the top. You can always go in there. I made a mistake. It's supposed to be C23 for the last item, not C22. I'm going to plant my cursor in there and change that to C23. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay. And that does change it a little bit. But you notice that the average sales and median sales are a little bit different. Now, the next one's a little more involved, and that's using the Countif function. But I have found that function to be very valuable over the years for just lots of different reasons I've used it for. Countif function, of course, it's equals Countif, and then open parenthesis. And so obviously there's a little if statement involved in there. And if you look at the little syntax box that pops up, it says Countif, open parenthesis, the range, well, you've been dealing with ranges already, comma, and then whatever the criteria happens to be. And so, like I said, I've used this one a lot before. If I do attendance sheets just in Excel, every row is a different student, and I can use a Countif function to have it count all the X's by their name on that particular row. And that X for me that's how I record if they're absent that particular day. So if I have a whole semester of dates there, and it looks at that one student, and it calculates very quickly that, oh, they've missed class 3 times this semester or 6 times this semester, and it just instantly counts all the X's for me. So very handy little tool. You just have to tell it what it is you want it to count for you. So let's do this one. Let me see if I can get my range right this time. On Countif, we're going to look at that range of salespeople that have earned above $30,000 in sales for for that past month. So it's going to be Countif, and then open parenthesis, and then C7 for Tina's amount, I should say, and to C23. And just look up to make sure that it did highlight all those values. And then you're not done, because you've only gotten the range in there so far. Now you want the comma, space, and then it says criteria. Well, what's the criteria? Well, in your head you're thinking, well, salespeople that have made over 30,000. So how do I write that though, so that Excel can understand it? And the main thing you need to remember, this criteria part needs to be in quotation marks. So I'm going to do double quotation marks, and I'm going to say greater than 30,000. So on your keyboard, you have that little greater than or less than key, and it shares, greater than shares the same key as the period. So greater than, and then put in 30,000. You don't have to put the comma in that. So that range, comma, and then quotation, greater than 30,000. Now you got to finish it out with that other quotation mark, and then also finish it out with the ending parenthesis. Oops, kind of got over in the wrong cell. Okay, let me fix that. Oh, it got in there. I must have put a double one in there. But let me show you again. Obviously the answer is 4, but let me show you that again. If you didn't already know this, if you hit F2, the F2 on your special function keys, that will bring the formula back up that you typed before you hit enter. So there you see the formula again, equals Countif, open parentheses, C7 to C23 for our range, comma, space, and then quotation mark, greater than 30,000, end of quotations, end of parentheses. So I'll pause for a second and let you take that in. Then when you hit enter, I believe the answer is going to be 4, which means there's 4 people that make over 30,000 in this table. Yeah, there's the 4 after I hit enter. Okay. Now these next two are pretty simple. It's just what I call the min and the max. Max, highest sales amount, we can use the max function. So you have to know your Excel formulas well enough that when you are presented with a situation, hopefully something in your head kind of pings and goes, wait, I bet there's an Excel formula that can help us figure this out, and that's the way you want Excel to always be able to help you as a great tool. Now, highest sales amount, we said we're going to use max. It was just equals max. And again, look at that same range of C7 colon to C23. And you should see that it highlights all the sales amounts. And that's all you do on that one, except finish out the parenthesis, of course. And then when you're ready, you can hit enter. And that should tell you the highest salesperson, their amount at least, was 43,500. And the lowest sales amount, that one's simple too. It's just equals min. And again, you're going to put that same range in of C7 to C23. Make sure it took everything in that it should have. And finish out with the parenthesis. And when you're ready, you can hit enter. And that should tell you the lowest sales amount was 14,500. And obviously, as a sales manager, you would want to know, why is that? Why did that person have such a low amount? And what extra things maybe is the highest salesperson doing to garner that many sales in 1 month? Okay, so I hope you have learned a lot from this one, and I think it's important too that you highlight in yellow your best salesperson's name. I have you do that in the problem as well. So look up here, who had 43.5? Who was your best salesperson? Well, that looks like it was Mark at 43.5. So I'm gonna just highlight that to make it easier for the next person to figure this out. And yellow for the best. And, or we could have picked green, of course. Red for the worst. The worst was Kate, I think, at 14.5, yeah. And so we'll put that one in red for our highlighting color here. Okay. Now, obviously stop and save your work, and then you're ready to upload it to D2L. So let me save it. And I hope this helps you get through this last part of week 8, and thank you for working through these. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.